The Imperial Army of the 1st Division charges at the Russian forces during the epic Russo-Japanese War, but they are savagely ambushed by guns and cannons. All hope seems lost, but one of the soldiers, Saichi Sugimoto, seemingly deflects the firepower and takes down the entire force all by himself. Later, he meets a drunkard who identifies him as the immortal Sugimoto. The men have a brief chat over Saichi's demonic strength, after which the man tells him about the gold rush. He mentions that a huge sum of gold was stolen from the Ainu clan by a mysterious man and has been hidden after he was imprisoned, but nobody has been able to locate it. Saichi learns that the robber had tattooed his prison inmates to create clues leading to the gold's location, and this intrigues him. However, he eventually berates the drunkard as he doesn't believe his tales. After remembering the death of his comrade, Saichi is suddenly attacked by the man, but he knocks him down, after which the enemy runs away. Saichi starts to believe his story and chases after him, but notices that he has already been killed by a bear. Saichi is shocked to see a tattoo on the man's back, and then he is attacked by the bear. He is about to be slashed, but luckily he is saved by an Ainu girl named Asurpa, who kills the bear with her poison arrows. Saichi befriends her and learns that her father was also one of the victims of the gold rush. At night, the both of them were attacked by a brown bear, and Saichi is brutally injured, but he holds onto the beast, while Asurpa is saved by a white wolf named Retar. After a brief struggle, Saichi is able to kill the bear, and then the duo talks about the remaining prisoners. Saichi believes that the gold is still out there, so he asks Asurpa to join him. The next day, Asurpa and Saichi decide to set a trap for some squirrels, after which they discuss the next plan of action. After a brief discussion, they decide to visit Otaku, the capital of Hokkaido. Saichi and Asurpa ask around town for clues leading to the other prisoners, and they find a shop owner who has met a man asking for the same thing. We notice one of the tattooed prisoners spying on our heroes, and he decides to attack them, but gets caught in their trap and is apprehended. Saichi threatens to kill him, but Asurpa says she won't work with him if he does so. They sketch the tattoo and learn that the mystery thief is called Noperabo. However, the prisoner is suddenly killed by an assassin named Ogata, so the duo gets to work. Asurpa creates a smokescreen to distract the assassin, and Saichi gets into an intense battle with him after that. In the middle of their duel, he learns that Ogata is from a higher army division called the Guardians of the North. Asurpa reveals Saichi's identity to the assassin, and he uses this opportunity to escape, but Saichi knocks him off the cliff and he is washed away by the river. Now Asurpa and Saichi enjoy a warm meal and bond with each other, while Ogata is rescued by his Hokkaido teammates. The next day, the duo investigates another prisoner named Shiraishi Yoshitake, but he makes his escape after they get distracted by a rabbit. Saichi chases after Shiraishi, but they fall into the river and are about to die from hypothermia. Luckily, they join forces and use Shiraishi's bullet to light a fire. The escape artist mentions the legendary samurai Hijikata Toshizo, who is also looking for the tattooed prisoners. At night, our heroes enjoy some rabbit soup, but Asurpa gets weird when Saichi suggests using miso, as she believes it's actually poop powder. The next day, the duo decides to trap a bear so that they can feast on its meat. However, Saichi realizes that they are being spied upon by the Hokkaido army, so he takes Asurpa and runs away. With no other option, Saichi splits up and asks Asurpa to surrender peacefully. However, she tries to attack her assailant and is about to be shot. Luckily, her white wolf comes to the rescue and brutally knocks out the man. Meanwhile, Saichi tricks the other soldiers to a bear den, and they get savagely ripped apart by the beast. The mother bear dies in combat, so Saichi takes the baby bear with him. The team heads back to Asurpa's village, where Saichi makes his acquaintance with everyone, including Asurpa's grandmom. Meanwhile, Commander Tsurumi betrays Captain Wada and has him killed so that he can carry out his sinister plan. Later, Oshiyama Tatsuma is confronted by Hijikata, who wants him to join his quest for the gold. The next day, Asurpa's uncle saves Saichi from a trap and gets to know him better. He also warns Saichi by saying the stolen gold is cursed by demons. Later, Saichi tries to make Asurpa eat his miso, but she only beats him up when he offers it to her grandmom. Then the overpowered soldier makes a fool of himself in front of the children and is ridiculed by Asurpa. At night, her uncle tells Saichi about Retar and how Asurpa became friends with him, especially after her dad's death. However, the wolf eventually had to leave, and this was what made her even lonelier. Despite being told to stay with the Serpa forever, Saiichi heads off to town to inquire about more prisoners. However, he is attacked in the middle of a meal and is apprehended by Tsurumi and his men. Upon questioning, Saiichi tries to make his escape, but Tsurumi is shown to be a psycho and demands to know more about the tattoos. He reveals that he wants the gold so that he can buy American weapons and rule the country. Saiichi is offered to join Tsurumi's army, but he refuses to do so. Meanwhile, Retter and the Serpa find Shiraishi, who informs them about Saiichi's capture. The escape artist tries to trick a Serpa, but her white wolf catches him, and he is forced to work with them. At night, Saiichi is tortured by some soldier brothers, but he breaks free and fights them fiercely. He takes on his opponents despite being beaten up, but is interrupted by the other guards before he can finish them off. Luckily for him, a Serpa and Shiraishi make it to the hideout and sneak in to help him out. Shiraishi helps our hero out of his ropes, so he kills one of the psycho brothers once he's free. Once he is found, Saiichi is shown to be heavily injured and he convinces Tsurumi to help him out. But this was all part of his plan to steal a horse and make his escape. He greets a Serpa with gratitude, but is punched for being reckless. Meanwhile, Nagakura Shinpachi makes his acquaintance with Hijikata and Ushiyama as they continue with their plan. At night, a Serpa finally tries miso and loves it, much to Saiichi's delight. Then Hijikata and his team meet Shibukawa and his bandits in a deal gone sour. It leads to an intense battle where Hijikata shows off his skills as he takes down everyone with ease. The next day, a Serpa and Saiichi try hunting a deer, but it makes its escape after Saiichi wounds it. Now, we see a soldier named Genjiro Tanigaki with a hunter named Nihei as he hunts down a brown bear with the help of his dog Ryu. Nihei claims to have killed over 200 bears, but confesses that his true fantasy is to hunt and is a wolf. The hunter prepares a bear meal and jokes around with Genjiro before they discuss their plan to hunt the wolf. The next day, our heroes continue their deer hunt, but Saiichi freezes upon noticing that the animal is fighting for its life, as it reminds him of his own attitude. Retter shows up and kills the deer, so the duo can enjoy some venison, but the gunshot alerts Nihei and Genjiro, so they move towards the scene. Our heroes reunite with Shiraishi and enjoy some deer meat, after which the escape artist reveals to Saiichi that Nihei also has a tattoo. Genjiro also learns this and threatens Nihei with his gun, but then the hunter narrates his life story to win his favor. The next day, Nihei spots some droppings and uses them to track Retter. He eventually lures out the wolf and is about to shoot him, but the Serpa saves him in the nick of time, and then Saiichi confronts the hunter. They get into a fierce battle. After Ryu knocks Saiichi's gun away, they trade blows, but Saiichi is apprehended when Genjiro uses a Serpa as a hostage. Luckily, our hero uses his enemy's ignorance to his advantage and allows Nihei to tie him and Shiraishi to a tree. The escape artist does his thing, and the duo breaks free, so they make their way towards a Serpa. In the meantime, Genjiro gets injured by a poison arrow trap, but a Serpa ends up helping him so that he can survive. However, Nihei reaches them and is shown to be obsessed with killing Retter, so he uses a Serpa as bait. The white wolf pounces upon the predator and things are about to get tense. But then Retter's wife arrives to lethally injure and kill Nihei. Our heroes reluctantly save Genjiro by taking him to a Serpa's village to get treated. After some time, Genjiro reveals that Tsurumi became obsessed with the gold and the weapons because he wishes to avenge his comrades who died in the war. Later, Hijikata and his men make their way forward, but Ushiyama wishes to spend some personal time first. Here, he runs into Shiraishi and chases after him in a hilarious sequence. The escape artist eventually runs into some of Tsurumi's soldiers and asks them for help. An intense shootout follows and Shiraishi manages to get out of his predicament when Hijikata's men use a grenade to save Ushiyama, who has been shot during the chaos. Later, Hijikata and Tsurumi get into a brief confrontation, after which the evil samurai retreats. Shiraishi gets a lead and asks Serpa to help him out, but she doesn't wish to involve the wolves anymore. After a failed hunting exercise, Shiraishi uses Ryu to locate Ushiyama, but he gets caught and is taken to Hijikata. The escape artist manages to make peace with the rival team and leaves after stating that his friends don't have any tattoos with them. At night, he tells the others about a killer named Henmi, who seems to have a weird fascination with death. He goes on to explain that Henmi is luring people with tattoo traps, as he has one himself. As Serpa is worried because her uncle visits the same fishing spot that Henmi goes to, so the team decides to visit and hunt some whales. They witness an accident and save the victim after leaving Shiraishi behind. He turns out to be Henmi, and he acts cautious as he had seen Saiichi with Shiraishi. Later, Henmi kills a witness who spots his tattoos and hides his body in the washroom. Then he chats with Saiichi as he seems to get excited by his tales of war and murder. However, as Serpa excuses herself to the washroom, and this makes Henmi Tsurumi panic, so he takes Saichi away, and they end up inside a mansion where Tsurumi is currently residing. The guards get into a fight with him, so he kills them but gets injured in the process. This prompts Saichi to save Henmi and run away, while Tsurumi and his men fire at them. When they reach Shiraishi, he identifies the killer and alerts Saichi about it. The men get into a fight, and Saichi dominates Henmi, which makes him weirdly excited. Henmi is about to prepare for the big climax, but he's taken away by a killer whale. Luckily, Saichi retrieves his body so that he can get his tattoo. Meanwhile, Genjiro finds Ogata and Nikaido at the village with Asurpa's grandmom, so he panics. Ogata seemingly reassures him and leaves, but shoots at Genjiro soon after as he has defected from Tsurumi. This leads to a tense sequence where Genjiro has to keep the villagers safe from the snipers. Now, Hijikata meets our heroes and takes a liking to Asurpa. He asks for her Japanese name and grows suspicious when he learns that Saichi doesn't know what it is. Now Genjiro gets Nehei's rifle and decides to use it to fight his comrades. As he sets out, Genjiro tries to cover his tracks so that he can't be tracked by the soldiers. The night passes by without any progress, but in the morning, Nikaido falls into a trap and is brutally attacked by a bear. Ogata shoots at the beast and reveals his location, which leads to him getting shot by Genjiro. However, he manages to survive the shot and kills one of the soldiers who finds Genjiro. Tsurumi and his men arrive soon after and chase him away, but the twisted commander toys with Nikaido and offers him the chance to kill Saichi after cutting his ears. Later, Shiraishi falls into the water and is attacked by a giant fish, but is luckily saved by Kiroranke Nispa, who is a friend of Asurpa's dad. The team enjoys a massive meal together, and then Nispa reveals that he used to work with the army, but not under Tsurumi. The team is shocked to learn from him that Nopperabo is actually Asurpa's father, but she refuses to believe this. Our heroes decide to break into the prison to find out the truth, and Nispa agrees to help him out, but only if they promise to return some of the gold to Asurpa's clan. The team stops by the village for a bit, and then they head out to Sapporo to continue their mission. Upon reaching, they learn about the Sapporo World Hotel, run by a woman named Ienaga. Ushiyama seems to have already reached the venue and starts flirting with the hostess immediately. They are about to get comfortable, but then our heroes check in, so the mistress has to attend to them. Ienaga seems to be hiding a dark secret, as she wants to make the perfect human, and she is clearly excited to see her new customers. Shiraishi hopelessly falls in love with Ienaga and goes looking for his mistress, but falls through a trapdoor and discovers her torture chamber. Meanwhile, Ushiyama befriends our heroes and they share some awkward discussions while getting drunk. Later, the giant hunk finds the trapdoor and follows its path to find Shiraishi tied up. The escape artist reveals to him that Ienaga is actually an old male prisoner in disguise, but Ushiyama violates him and says he wants to get with a mistress. Shiraishi goes to warn Saichi about Ienaga, but it turns out that her hero is already confronting her as she had tried to attack Asurpa. The imposter runs away after creating a distraction, and a chaotic sequence follows wherein Ienaga manages to convince Ushiyama to fight Saichi. After another chaotic session, Shiraishi manages to defeat Ienaga with one of his bombs, but he accidentally drops one and it causes the entire place to blow up. Our heroes are unharmed, but worry about Ushiyama and Ienaga. Luckily, both of them are shown to be alive, and Ienaga is made to reveal her secrets to Shiraishi. Our heroes make their way to the forest to hunt some animals because they need to buy more explosives. Nispa reveals that Shiraishi blew all their money on gambling, so the others teach him a lesson, after which they seek shelter in a local village. They meet Inkarmat, who is a fortune teller, and Shiraishi immediately starts flirting with her. Inkarmat uses a fox jaw and tells the team they are going to fail their mission, so Asurpa berates her, but Inkarmat states that she knows about her father. The next day, Shiraishi uses Inkarmat and her fox jaw to win some races, and then he pays off his friends. Nispa reveals that he's an expert with horses, so he's summoned to ride one of the contenders, even though Inkarmat states that his number will lose. Shiraishi tries to convince Saichi to give up on the mission because they're making good money here, but her hero refuses to abandon Asurpa. Either way, Nispa wins the race, so Shiraishi loses all his money again. Later, he tells the team Ienaga had mentioned that Yubari might have more answers for them. Meanwhile, Ogata offers to work as Tsurumi's bodyguard. And that's the end of Season 1. Like, share, and subscribe if you want to see Season 2 as well. Hit the bell icon for regular notifications. See you soon!